Hi, today I'm going to talk about electronic mails, that is email server. Now this is the three outline of today's PPT. This consists of three parts, part 1, part 2 and part 3 respectively. Part 1 consists of the general part. We will talk about the basics email, how does email work and the basic email operations. The second part talks about the technical part, that is about SMTP, HTTP and POP. The third part consists of more advanced topics such as spam. Now, first of all, we should talk about what is email. Email is simply a message that is sent across the internet. This is a table that briefly describes about that compares the 5 attributes between telephone, email and the post. This table gives the brief idea about the difference between telephone, email and the post. After that, we'll talk about the pros and cons. So there are certain advantages of the email. It is convenience, fast speed, printable, reliable, global. There are certain disadvantages too. That is misdirection, interception, forgery, overload, etc. So one can think about good and the bad experience that one can have with the email. The growth of the email users and the messages. So now we'll talk about the email address. What we need is the email address of the recipient where we want to send our email. Suppose the email address of the recipient is user at the rate of host. So whatever comes after at the rate is the domain name of the mail server, and the whatever that comes before at the rate is just the username of the recipient. So in this case, user is the username and host is the domain name. Suppose we take the example of the second one, that is ccccheung at the rate of csc.cuhk.edu.hk, where csc.cuhk.edu.hk is the domain name and ccccheung is the username of the recipient. So basically the username and the host name are separated by at the rate. Now there are three parts: email client, email server and the mailbox. The email client is a software or program that can transfer email from a local host to a local email server. Email server is a program that can send or receive email from or to the other email servers. And mailbox is just a disk file which holds all the email messages. So this is typical example of the electronic mailbox, where you can see the large number of messages that are present here. So for this email server, we have to install the mail server on Linux, Unix or Windows platform, and then we have to root it. Now the email consists of two major sections, that is CC and BCC. You might have experience if you have got the chance to just send a mail to anyone. The first section is a carbon copy section. In this section, it sends messages to more than one person. All the recipients will see the list of email addresses. And the second part is the blind carbon copy section. In this section, the addressee won't be seen by the recipients. So when email is sent to a large group of the people who don't know each other, we use blind carbon copy section. So one can easily see the difference between CC and BCC in this slide. Now we will talk about how does the email work. This is more about the technical. So the first, how the email work is based on SMTP, that is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. So the email are transferred across the internet via SMTP. The mail server uses SMTP to determine how to route the messages through the internet and then sends the messages. So when the messages arrives at the recipient's mail server, the message is transferred to a POP3 server, where POP stands for Post Office Protocol. Now first we will see the SMTP illustration. How does SMTP work? Now suppose that we want to send a mail from John's computer to Mary's computer via SMTP server. It will just move on to the mail server. After that, it will go through the internet to the mail server of the Mary's computer. And after this, the POP will take the mail that is present on the mail server of Mary's computer to the Mary's computer's mailbox, which is done via POP. So these are the advantages and the disadvantages of the POP. Advantage is quite simple at that we don't have to know the name of your machine, and the POP mail server is installed on a computer always on. So we use Windows interface to read the email, and the disadvantage is that the email at the mail server is popped to your local machine. So that is one of the disadvantages. So this is the POP illustration. This was the SMTP that we have done in one of the previous slide. After this, when the mail arrives at the mail server of the Mary's computer, there is two local inbox and the mail is full. And now the POP occurs and the mail from the mail spool of the mail server is sent to the local inbox of the Mary's computer. And this is how the POP works. Talking about the junk mails. The junk mails are that get into our mailbox. They may get into from the name card, letterheads, published papers. So it dump a full user list in a server. So we have to stop the intrusion of the junk mail. So we do it via three processes. First of all, we can use mail server providers joint effort. Second is we can filter out. Third is preview before downloading. So these are the three ways through which we can stop the intrusion of the junk mails. Now this is one of the most important term in the email, that is spam. So spam is the flooding the internet with many copies of the same messages. So when we force to send the messages to the people, so it's a type of the junk electronic mail. So it causes a lot of problem because first of all, it is cost shifting because it's very cheap to send thousands of emails. It's a kind of fraud also because email is not an advertisement subject. So you cannot use the emails to add your products. So it's a waste of others' resources also because it steals the bandwidth. And there might be some kind of ethics problem. So the references for the slides have been taken by the link given in this slide. So these are the references that you can ponder over. That's all for today. Thank you.